Leos, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for June 20th through the 26th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Leo, this week, let's go ahead and start by looking at yourself here, which is seen by the ruler of the sun. And this is the sun that's been now shifting into your 11th house of your aspirations this week. So you guys will naturally feel the shift where I think things have been very strongly focused on either your career or your productive life. And I think still will be with Mercury still up here. And Mercury is going to be forming a lot of aspects. But your sun, the ruler, is shifting into your 11th house of your aspirations. So this is great for you to start focusing on what are the values you really derive from your work, for example, or from your career. And maybe connecting with some friends, maybe doing some networking, some group or community related activities, technological, social media. All this stuff is relating to the 11th. But on the most fundamental level, it is about those hopes and wishes and how you can cultivate and activate them. In fact, I think you can enjoy perhaps some of those aspirations as well. So that's going to be the location of the next new moon for you, which will be in the next couple weeks. So it's good to start focusing on this and maybe putting energy into those big picture future things. So that's your ruler in terms of yourself. Now, of course, with your first house, you still do have Jupiter in your first house and the North Node. So there's a lot of positive energy for you, I think, to continue to expand your horizons, tap into that adventurous spirit. And that could be literally, but it could also be through philosophical studies, university, expanding your mind and expanding your worldview. In fact, it's a very positive week for all this Jupiterian stuff because Pluto is going to be trining up to Jupiter exact for the last and final time. It's going to go exact over this weekend on Sunday. So the support here is for you to continue to do all that, still learn about yourself, really tap into that independent energy, which is really what this is all about. You should have plenty of opportunities to do that. And whatever that means for you, making change in your life to have more of that independence, I think, is great. Maybe cultivate some of those goals or get some of that physical exercise, physical activity can be supportive collectively for you Leos as well. So it takes us to relationships, which is the area of perhaps uncertainty, which is Neptune squaring up to Saturn still this week. Saturn does rule that 7th house of yours. So it's still an area of spiritual development here, of letting go, of detaching everything that's not in your immediate sphere of influence regarding relationships, regarding your interpersonal connections. And in that way, you are connecting to, I think, is a more receptive and a more unconditional energy in your relationship. So that's great. And still, like I said, a great area to challenge yourself with that. And it's all reflective too, because Saturn, the ruler of that 7th, is retrograde as well. So it's suggesting this rehashing, this rethinking going on regarding relationships. Now, in terms of your work, we've got that Saturn who does rule that 6th house. So just like with the relationships, there might be, it's a little different than relationships, but the same aspect. So there might be some uncertainty about the work stuff, about the routine, what's going on with the daily activities. There's, uncertainty if we try to figure it out. But again, it's about detachment, letting go, and connecting that present moment, I think, can really go a long ways with that. Now, in terms of your career, it's going through another week of constructive energy with this, hopefully constructive, where you're challenging yourself through your career. And I say that because Mercury is now going to be going over this Grand Cross part of the chart where the new moon was. And so now with all this that you could be thinking about, reworking, even writing, goals or whatnot, long-term things with your career, your public life, your productive life, it's good to challenge yourself here, to get things done, to work on it, even on that routine as well, since Mercury is a natural routine planet. But on Monday in particular, it's going to be about balance with this because Mercury is going to pose up to that Saturn, square up to Neptune in that part of the Grand Cross. So detachment, again, letting go, faith and trust, acceptance goes a long ways with this. At the same time, too, balancing your work life and your personal life, I think, is very important. We don't want to go to either extreme of either. If it's just too much about the personal life, then there's not enough emphasis on the productive life and vice versa. Also, we don't want to get too dense and too realistic to where it becomes overly pessimistic regarding the career stuff either. All right, so if we get too far into the Saturn opposition, it can densify things too much, but at the same time, there are responsibilities, there are long-term things that are being cultivated. Now on Wednesday, it'll still be that kind of energy, but it's easier to work with. Here, Mercury is going to be squaring up to North Node and Jupiter in your first house, and particularly on Wednesday, just kind of keeping everything nice and balanced with those goals with yourself, again, with the productive stuff. If you are feeling a bit overly optimistic or underly optimistic regarding that career stuff, it's good to be present with it and balance it. Know that there are opportunities, of course, for you, specifically with your independence and all that stuff we talked about, and even with your career, but it's all being built. It's long term. And that's why patience is so important, while still seeing those opportunities this week with that. Now, in regards to your finances, that's the same thing. Mercury does rule your second house. So regarding that Grand Cross, it's a good week for you to be patient with, balanced with, watching any extremes with that Saturn energy, letting go, detaching. And then, on Wednesday, watching any over optimism about it. And at the same time, just seeing, though, that this is a good area for you to challenge yourself to build foundations with. As well, just like with your work. So that takes us to the overview, and we're going to cover everything we didn't talk about that's happening this week. And the first is right on Monday, we're going to have this full moon. And this full moon is going to be in your 5th house of self-expression. So there's awareness right at the beginning of the week in terms of maybe things you enjoy in life, your interests, things that are close to the heart, anything that you're creating. And all in all, just an awareness of that inner spark. So it's so good to express yourself this week. That can be very liberating, in fact, because the full moon is going to be trining up to Uranus. But whatever it is, there's an awareness. And anything that you have been involved with over the past 6 months regarding any interests or hobbies or things like that, creative projects, romance, even for some of you, that playful, lighthearted energy, it is coming to a high point. And you'll notice some things are working for you here, some things are not. And so letting go of what's not and continuing to cultivate what is, I think, will be excellent. A lot of this, too, is regarding your location or your home or your family as well, because the full moon will be very close to that 4th house, which, again, you guys are building right now. There's a lot of patience. There's this new foundation you guys are building with your personal life. All right, and then we talked about that sun transitioning into Gemini, which will be right at the beginning of the week. We talked about this Grand Cross with Mercury. We talked about Jupiter trining up to Pluto. A lot of this positive support changing for that independence and to expand your horizons and even step into that power of your self-expression, which is continuing to unfold with that Pluto. All right, so Leos, have a great week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.